is why men should be more feminine. Being a feminine man, you're easy to control. You're not respected by other men. That's wonderful, right? Being a feminine man, you can't even protect yourself. You're a guy that confines in women to protect you. You shouldn't go to the gym. Be strong, learn how to fight, learn how to protect yourself for you and your family. You should be more feminine. You should cry and complain on the internet. And then when the men who are masculine take everything and you're left with nothing, no problem. You want to be a feminine man. This is why men should be feminine. Here's why men should be more feminine. Being a feminine man.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another session with the older man. Today I want to talk about masculinity and the way society deals with masculinity. And I want to actually highlight this video with Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and founder of Facebook, one of the richest men in the world. And he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I've seen this video played out on a few male channels already. But I thought I'd highlight it as well because he said something quite profound that we in the red pill space, in the male space, the manosphere space, have understood for years. And that is the emasculation of men, the putting down, the way society have vilified being a man, forcing men to be more feminine. And as I speak to more and more women, a lot of the women have displayed the same comments that a lot of men are just more feminine these days. Yet this is what society does. And he had some interesting perspectives. Now, I've been a martial artist since I was 16 years old. And I never stopped until went right through black belt and beyond for over 30 years. Listen, I stopped around 45 years old or so. But I still box. I still keep my skills, okay. I can still throw a punch and a kick. Listen, I know my limitations with age, and I have to be careful because I don't want to end up being injured at this stage in my life. So I know how to pull it back. Have enough of my skills to defend myself in a normal situation, but not so highly skilled that I have to train to maintain that and in turn injure myself. But I tell you this simply just to give you a little background on me if you haven't known this about me. We all know Joe Rogan. He's a former fighter. But I want you guys to just listen to this conversation because it is powerful. Subscribe, guys. Please book a session if you have any issues, if you have any problems, your relationships or life, making money, etc. I'm here for you. All right? Go to askanolderman.com and book a session there. All right? Let's get into this.
And having good training partners and absorbing information and really being diligent with your skill acquisition work, which is one of the most important and neglected parts of jiu-jitsu because training is so fun. Everybody just wants to roll, where really the best way to do it is actually to drill. And it's the most boring, but really you should drill constantly, just jam those skills into your neurons where your brain knows exactly what to do in every position. And it's such an intellectual pursuit. And most people don't think of it that way because you have to manage your mind while you're moving your body. You're managing anxieties. You're trying to figure out when to hit the gas and when to control position and recover. There's so much going on in training that applies to virtually any stressful thing that you'll ever experience in your life.
And this is one of the major parts of actually training with something physically demanding, right? Pugilism. Pugilism basically means fighting, war, right? That's how men are designed. That's who we are as a species. This is what brings our masculinity forth in its rawest form. Conflict, combat. That's why American football is so popular amongst men. Soccer, rugby, these are all sports that are highly competitive and highly physical because men need that. It's essential for us to keep pushing our aggression because that is what releases a lot of the hormones that are important for mental health. But more importantly, camaraderie between men is vital. All right? So let's just proceed because I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
And along with it, you get this skill where you can kill people. You shouldn't kill people. Let me be clear.
No.
I'm not saying it's a good thing to kill people. I'm definitely not. But I'm saying it's a good thing to, if someone's trying to kill you and they absolutely can't.
Mark isn't going to respond to that because that's, they would clip this piece, would have it up there going, yes, the CEO of Facebook agrees that doing martial arts gives you the ability to kill people. No, you don't want to agree with any of that statement. But it is true. It's true. It's amazing how we can talk about open carry and carrying a gun and, but the second that you say the word KIL someone, right, it's an issue. And you know for sure that that's why people freaking carry guns. Not to injure people. We know that you can't just shoot people in the legs these days because the possibilities of missing that in a high-stress situation is high. Versus shooting center mass, this massive area in the middle of the chest where the lungs and the hearts and the liver and all of these vital body parts, that's where they sit. So if you're carrying a gun, more than likely, hey, it's not going to end up well for most people on the receiving end.
Because you could kill them easy. That's way better. It's a way better situation to be in.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's opened a lot of how I think about stuff. I mean, it is just interesting. I mean, your point about like having a pill that allows you to just kind of know that you have this kind of physical ability. It's a
superpower.
It's interesting because I do think a lot of our society has become very like, I don't know, I don't even know the right word for it, but it's like kind of like neutered or like emasculated, and there's like a whole energy in this that I think it is very healthy in the right balance. I mean, I think part of the reason, one of the things that I enjoy about it is I feel like I can just like express myself, right? It's like when you're running a company, people typically don't want to see you being like this ruthless person who's like, just like, I'm just going to like crush the people I'm competing with. But when you're fighting, it's like, no, that's like, so I think you're rewarded. I think in some ways when people see me competing in the sport, they're like, oh no, that's the real.
This is the problem about fighting and the problem with owning a large company. Because Facebook came from nothing and then became a mammoth in the social media space. But once they have gained this mammoth status, you immediately develop the reputation for being a bully. Even though you came from nothing, This is the problem. So now when you're a mammoth, a behemoth of a company, you almost got to be gentle with anyone else who wants to start or get in. You can't just crush them. This is the problem that we have with our society. If Google decide that, when they've done it many times, to crush anybody who wants to get into the search engine space or the YouTube space, etc., they don't want anybody infringing on that revenue for their company. They want to crush the competition, but they have to be careful because we got the SEC who then steps in and says, no, this is not acceptable. You cannot just stop competition. You got to either buy them out or you got to let them strive because you're too big. Think about it. Just try to understand that concept. You can build something to the ultimate growth, but if it gets too big, we have to break it up because it's too big. You have become a monopoly. That's what happened to what? AT&T, was it? Was it AT&T? I think one of the big companies that you had to do that in the U.S. And they're trying to do it to Google now because Google is massive.
Mark, it's like, because it goes back to all the media training stuff we were talking about when I'm going and giving my sound bites for 2 minutes. It's like, no, it's like, fuck that guy. It's like, that's the real one.
Well, you definitely got a lot of respect in the martial arts community. People got super excited that you were so involved in it and so interested in it because anytime someone like yourself or like Tom Hardy or anyone, they're like, wow, that guy's into it? Like, wow. Anytime something like that happens, and there's like some new person who's a prominent person, a very smart person, that's really interested in it, we all get very excited because we're like, oh boy.
It's a very welcoming community.
Oh, super.
I think there's
super
a lot of sports that are like, nah, we don't want you.
It's not a jock community.
Yeah, no,
it's super kind.
Yeah.
Like jiu-jitsu people in particular, they're some of the nicest people. And this is my friends forever. They'll be my friends for life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good crew. I mean, when I got hurt, I really kind of miss the guys I trained with.
Oh,
I mean,
it
it's like
sucks.
Dave has put together this.
You know why they're so nice to each other? Because they respect life. We understand exactly how fragile the human body is and how easy it is to kill another person. So we treat the other person with kindness and respect because we know that there's a possibility that they could kill us and we could kill them. Once you have acquired the knowledge on how to destroy another human being, listen, man, you develop a healthy respect for humanity and other humans. Cross these guys now, you're in trouble. But we do respect our training partners and our brothers in arms, so to speak. That's why soldiers have such deep bonds between other soldiers. You got army buddies that you'll never forget. And you will always be them, and you will always be there for your other fellow members in arms. So it's the same thing with these organizations that, these fight clubs, etc.
Cutting out all of the bullshit and realizing how much of the things that we take as real things are just excuses and bullshit and weakness and just procrastinate. There's a lot of things that we have that exist, especially in like the business world and the corporate world and the education world, that are just bullshit. And they don't really have to be there. Mm-hmm. And they're only there to try to make up for hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of just what I was saying before. I think for me, it's I think a lot of the corporate world is like pretty culturally neutered. And I just think like having... I grew up, I have 3 sisters, no brothers. I have 3 daughters, no sons. So I'm like surrounded by girls and women like my whole life. And it's like, so I think, I don't know. There's just something, the kind of masculine energy I think is good. And obviously, society has plenty of that, but I think corporate culture was really like trying to get away from it. And I do think that there's just something, it's like, I don't know, all these forms of energy are good, and I think having a culture that like celebrates the aggression a bit more has its own merits that are really positive, and that has been a kind of a positive experience for me. Just like
He is trying not to piss off his advertisers, okay? You can hear him. He's trying to say it. Corporate culture, bottom line, Brother Mark, listen, we are living in a gynocentric society that caters towards females' feelings. And that is the culture that you have to promote on your business platform. Why? Because corporate culture knows that the highest consumers that they can manipulate are women. All the messages must go out to please women. In any degree of masculinity that enters into that space seems to be a threat to women. So your advertisers don't want to hear you say that, my friend. I know you're choosing your words carefully, but you want to say it. You want to see more masculinity in this world. But you got to preserve that bottom line. And that is why channels like these are growing at an alarming rate, because men are yearning for male spaces. We want to express ourselves. We want to be men. We don't want to be portrayed as bumbling idiots like most of you are doing right now, because it's a lie. But a lot of you single mothers with sons, you're creating the son husbands, the soft boys that you don't want when they grow up.
We need more masculine men. And I want to be clear, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's just toxic individuals. We need masculinity back. We need men who understand their duty, which will then create a beautiful space for women to be feminine, be nurturing, to be kind, and to be soft, and raise the next generation.
This is the problem.
Like having a thing that I can just like do with my guy friends and like, and it's just like, we're just like beat each other a bit. I don't know, it's good.
It is good.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't know.
It's good. It just, I could see your point though about corporate culture. When do you think that happened? Was that a slow shift? Because I think it used to be very masculine, and I think it was kind of hyper aggressive at one point.
No, and look, and I think part of the intent on all these things I think is good, right? I do think that if you're a woman going into a company, it probably feels like it's too masculine. It's like there isn't enough of the kind of the energy that you may naturally have, and it probably feels like there are all these things that are set up that are biased against you, and that's not good either, because you want women to be able to succeed and like have companies that can unlock all the value from having great people, no matter what their background or gender. But I think these things can always go a little far, and I think it's one thing to say we want to be kind of like welcoming and make a good environment for everyone, and I think it's another to basically say that masculinity is bad. And I just think we kind of swung culturally to that part of the kind of the spectrum where, it's all like, okay, masculinity is toxic. We have to like get rid of it completely. It's like, no, like it's both of these things are good, right? It's like you want like feminine energy, you want masculine energy. Like I think that's like you're going to have parts of society that have more of one or the other. I think that's all good. But I do think the corporate culture sort of had swung towards being this somewhat more neutered thing. And I didn't really feel that until I got involved in martial arts, which I think is still a much more masculine culture.
Of course it's masculine. Why would women want to fight? A woman can defend herself against other women, but really defending herself against other men, that's very difficult, especially if the man is hyper-aggressive or he has any degree of strength.
This woman said she's learned her lesson after being body slammed by a man following her fit of road rage. Katrina Aiken could be heard accusing a driver of getting too close to her blue Ford as she hurled insults.
I ain't driving crazy, but on my goddamn ass!
Before landing an unprovoked punch on the man. Now, Aiken has broken her silence and identified herself as the attacker who got instant karma. She was asked by locals on Facebook if she'd learned anything from the incident. Sure did. Hopefully we all learned a lesson. I know that's right. But this isn't Aiken's first time in trouble. Online records show she was handed a 60-day suspended jail sentence and a $1,000 fine for obstructing a business in 2011.
And if you add to that a sort of psychopathic mentality, there's no way a woman can survive in a fair fight. She'll have to have a weapon. Now, he said some very important things in this one clip, and I'm glad that he just sort of expressed it. He's a master at using his words properly. He's been trained many times. I have worked with men like this, these high-powered guys, when I was in my photography and my videography space. These men have to use their words very carefully because it can be used against them in the media. So he's basically saying, yes, men had to temper it down a bit, but women cannot expect us to just become like females in order to accommodate them. That's what he should have said. He was diplomatic, but the reality of it is we are expected to be feminine in the workplace in order to accommodate females in the workplace. And that's unacceptable. That's all men are saying. That's unacceptable. You cannot expect us to adapt to women just so that they'll feel comfortable. We got to stop being men. But on the other hand, the women want to become more like men. How the hell does that make sense? All right, let's hear what else he has to say.
And not that it doesn't try to be inclusive in its own way, but I think that there's just a lot more of that energy there. And I just kind of realized it's like, oh, this is
that's
like
how you become successful at martial arts. You have to be at least somewhat aggressive.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, there are like a few of these things throughout your life where you have an experience and you're like, where has this been my whole life? And it just like,
Yeah.
it just turned on like a part of my brain that I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like this was a piece of the puzzle that should have been there. And I'm glad it now is.
You see what happened to him? He grew up more of a nerdy type dude. This is the thing. I don't know if you guys watched the Facebook story, but he grew up more of a nerdy type dude, and he was never fully exposed to male energy. Like he said, he had sisters. So that's the problem that most men are facing in today's environment, because most men these days are growing up with a single mother, and right through their entire life, they're influenced and are only in contact with women. From the time they went to preschool, women, high school, 70 to 80% women in the school, mama's friends, drinking and relaxing, and the nail salons and the hair salons, that's where she dragged you because she didn't have a babysitter to take care of you, just to do those things. She did all the feminine things with you when her friends came over. You know, they dress you up in dresses and fun, ha ha ha, did your nails and all of that crap. And then colleges now, everything is geared towards females. And so most of your life, most of your groomed life was influenced by women. So you were never really subjected to masculine energy. And of course, most of the high schools now, you have a choice to do physical education. Most men will take the path of least resistance. They're not going to do PE. They're not going to do anything physical and aggressive. Men not going into wrestling classes and boxing classes and coaching after school. They don't do that. More than likely, mommy can't afford to put him into the extracurricular activities after school anyway. So most men just grow up being groomed by women. That's the biggest issue that a lot of women don't realize. So when the men reach into the dating pool, they criticize these men for being more feminine or feminine. But that's how he was groomed. But you blame him for that. Most men never had a chance to be men. They never had a chance to be boys or even men. So my friends, listen, I would love to hear your opinion. Let's have a conversation in the comment section. Also, you can join us over in the membership site as well. Everything is in the description section. If you want to know where to find everything, just go in the description section, my friends. You will see all of my AI tools. You will see everything that I have there. I put everything in the description section. It is just your great place to access everything that I do. Okay? Until next time, my friends, remember, whenever in doubt, always, always ask an older man. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.